all my fight fans? So it looks like the pay-per-view buys have came in for Francis Ngannou taking on Tyson Fury. It's roughly anywhere between 75 to 100,000 buys. And yes, that is not very big. That is not a whole lot. But let's just put this out there, guys. Francis Ngannou is not known to be a mega pay-per-view draw. He is a star, but he is not necessarily a big draw. Neither is Tyson Fury, believe it or not. Tyson Fury is a huge draw, especially over there in the UK. I mean, let's put it this way. Can you know anybody else that can sell out a stadium, an entire stadium, entire football stadium, I should say, soccer, for those who don't know what football is over there and overseas, can sell a whole stadium out by fighting somebody that he already beaten twice? I'm talking about Derek Chisora. Did you guys see that stadium? It was completely packed from head to toe to see Tyson Fury fight somebody that he already beaten and actually probably even knocked out in his past 2 fights with this individual. Yes, Tyson Fury is a megastar, but on pay-per-view, not so much. And that's something that's really tricky regarding the whole pay-per-view aspect of things, looking at the way things are. You know, back in the days, pay-per-view used to be much more cheaper, much more affordable. So you got to really look into this. You can't just go automatically be like, oh, well, they're not draws. They're draws. They are superstars. I promise you that. But also look at this. Look at the times that we're living in. A lot of it's really difficult and really challenging for people just to spend money like that. Just to not necessarily throw away money, but use money in that way. You got to think about food. You got to think about your bills. A lot of people are not necessarily working. It's really difficult times out there. I'm sure all of you will know that. So it's really challenging to see where exactly you want to spend your money on entertainment-wise. We look at the pay-per-views now. Back in the days, we remember those pay-per-views used to be $50, maybe even cheaper than that, I remember. That's just what I remember. I'm sure it was even cheaper than that in the prior years. But now it's just continued to raise up. Everything else is just continued to raise up further and further and further, making it even more difficult and challenging to buy. So again, you got all that to think of. Plus, you got 2 guys who are not necessarily big superstars of selling pay-per-views. So, of course, we all really didn't necessarily think this was going to be a huge blockbuster as far as buys go. We all knew this was going to be a big step up for Francis Ngannou. We all knew this was going to be a big payday for Francis Ngannou, and it was. So I promise you, do not look at the pay-per-view buys and say Francis Ngannou failed, because I promise you he did not fail. There's a lot to look into the pay-per-views of pay-per-view things nowadays. And here's something else that probably not taken into consideration. We are living in the pirate era, where people are pirating these fights left and right. Not a lot of people have the money to buy these pay-per-views, and not a lot of people care to buy the pay-per-views. So what they're doing is they're illegally streaming the pay-per-views. So that's something to really think about and consider as well. And that's just not what Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury. No, this has been going on for quite some time. For the UFC, for boxing, I'm sure they've been trying to do their best to crack down on everything. But yes, it's been challenging times to get those sales going up. Very, very difficult. So that's not something that you should definitely try to knock on Francis. I know there's a lot of haters on Francis right now. There's a lot of haters out there trying to say the best, that like Francis failed. They want Francis Ngannou to fail because he's no longer with the UFC. They want him to be almost, as an example, look at what happens when you're not with the UFC. That you fail, that you're not going to make as much money. You would have made more money doing this instead. There are really a lot of haters out there that I've been noticing. Then there's also a lot of fans out there that I've noticed that yes, he did make a good money. He did not fumble the bag. That he is going to continue making more money and more money each and every time. We remember prior to the whole Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou meetup that he fumbled the bag. That he is not going to make that big payday. That he is making a huge mistake. And then what happens? Even prior to that, they even talked about how he is not going to get that boxing fight. How he is wasting his career. Nope, he got a boxing fight. He actually sold a real big, large stadium. I'm not sure what it was, a stadium, an arena, wherever they were fighting in Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia. They all participated and they all wanted to see Francis and Tyson Fury. You're not just going to sell tickets. People are not just going to put their money out there. Even if, let's just say hypothetically, that maybe these tickets were bought for these individuals. Like they were bought for their celebrities and bought for their fighters. They were all comps. Okay, fine. I'm still promise you that nobody is going to just go to just some event. That could be anything. You're telling me you put 2 fighters in there and you're going to have someone take their time out of their day, out of their whatever they're doing to go see some 2 fights that nobody even knows. I promise you that's not going to happen. People are going to want to see something. They're going to want to see something that's going to entertain them. They're going to want to see something that's special. They're going to want to see something that they're going to remember. They're not just going to get paid to go see something that is just going to be a complete waste of their time. And that's not something that would happen with Francis and Tyson. It wasn't a waste of time. It was very, very special moment. We saw Francis Ngannou capture a big moment in his life. And we were all witness to it. So yes, do not look at the pay-per-view buys and automatically think that he is wasting his career or he's wasting his time. 100% do not think that. I personally feel like it was more like a test subject. Like, let's test this out. And now this brought in a lot more interest. So I promise you in the second fight, the interest is going to even be that much more. Am I saying it's going to break records? No. But I do believe it's going to be a lot more than it was the first one. So guys, let me know if you agree or disagree. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.